The Longevity Lounge is proudly brought to you by AIA Australia, dedicated to helping Australians live healthier, longer, better lives.
On this episode of the Longevity Lounge, we sit down with Gordon Edwards, the visionary behind the groundbreaking gut health innovation. From his plant in Townsville, Gordon has pioneered a revolutionary process that extracts sugar from sugarcane, leaving behind a remarkable fibre. This fibre is proving to be a game changer for digestive health, natural, powerful, and already showing results within days of use. I can personally vouch for its impact, having seen noticeable improvements in just a week. Join us as we explore Gordon's journey, the science behind his discovery, and what it means for the future of gut health and longevity.
So Gordon, welcome to the lounge.
Thanks, Carl. Pleasure to be here.
It's good to have you here, Gordon. It's been a while. We go back a little bit of a way. You're the first person in my professional career where I've actually sought out the owner of a company because I was that happy with the results of taking the product that I not only contacted you, wanted the actual product, and then invested in the business.
Mate, one of the biggest things that's really stuck out in our initial relationship was when you said at 20 years old you were the face of Kellogg's Nutrigrain. And it's taken you to now to be able to say you've got another product you can do that with. And man, that is just so impressive. And I'm pleased as punch that you said that.
Yeah, the irony is that promoting Kellogg's Nutrigrain gave people type 2 diabetes, whereas your product actually does the opposite. It helps people.
True.
Well, it'd be good for our listeners to understand a lot about you and your product in particular. So without overwhelming people, maybe we'll go straight to it. Tell us about the product and then we'll work through the background.
The product is essentially the answer to over-processed foods, fats and sugars that are in our diet today. We have been used and misused by our government, used and misused by our manufacturers for just to put flavour into things. And our product has the ability to be able to regulate your gut health, to be able to modulate your blood sugars, and to just bring you back to where you were. And I think the closest thing that I could put to it is Professor Rajeri, who's head of nutrition at RMIT University and a great fan of ours, is that one serve of ours, which is a heaped teaspoon, is equivalent to 1 to 2 serves of vegetables with everything that's in a vegetable. And it's so hard for people to do 2 and 5 vegetables these days. Nearly impossible. 5% of Australia can do it.
Yeah, the interesting thing, Gordon, is that for me personally, I would consider myself to be very healthy. And on a scale of 1 to 10, I would think that I'm close to 9 out of 10. The one issue that I've had for the last 3 years has been a post-mold infested house issue with waking up in the morning and feeling that sort of cloudiness in the head until I sort of got going in the day. And I got your product through someone overseas that was listening to our podcast, to Carl and I, we're overseas stars. And he contacted me and said, listen, I've listened to your podcast. I think you would like this product. Can I send you a sample? And he did that. And I thought nothing of it. I thought, oh, yeah, here we go. So I took it for a week, and that last part of the equation of having that haziness and that sort of brain fog in the morning from the mold went away in a week. And for me, that was the start. And when you start talking about the gut, then obviously the product you've got and the ingredients in it does a lot because it affected my head, not my gut. My gut felt fine, but my head wasn't.
Part of that is that going forward, you really are what you eat. So the colon talks to the brain through the vagus nerve, but 80% of the chemical messaging goes from your gut to your brain. So everything that the colon does, which is produce short-chain fatty acids, feed good bacteria, create hormones and enzymes, that all helps your body. And what our product does, it's not a fixer or a drug, it's a food which actually lets your body fix itself. And that's massively important.
Gordon, how did you stumble into this?
My background is engineering, marine engineering, but most of it's fishing, right? And I was in Okinawa, Japan, trying to move prawns into Japan. And I discovered a couple of things when you try and put prawns into seafood restaurants in Japan. One, they don't have freezers. So I didn't feel like setting up a logistics hub and taking on the Yakuza for who ran what over in Japan. So consequently, I met up with a professor called Professor Shinju from Yuku University who'd done research on sugarcane milber gas and using autoclaves to break it down. And we thought, why not? Let's give it a go. I've got other ways of using my money, but that one sounds like a good one. So we set up a pilot in Mossman, North Queensland. And what we found was that sugarcane millable gas is munched and crunched and high pressure at water, and all that comes out the other end is a bunch of lignin, hemicellulose and cellulose, which is sticks. And we had no track and trace. We just couldn't follow it back. What we did do is we did realize what was inherently in the cane with the research that we'd done on the cane. So we invented a diffusion process, which allows us to just take out one water-soluble molecule, which was the sugar, and leave the other two in there, which is pectin and the wax itself. And that allowed us to actually entrap the whole plant without the sugar. So Mother Nature had created this semi-poisonous product, which manufacturers are killing us with, and then created the plant that would help you with it. So we took the sugar out and we removed 95% of the sugar. We done a proof of concept down here in Ayr, which is where 30% of all the sugarcane in Australia is grown. And we created a product. And from there we went, okay, it works. We got it out there. And then we got a couple of $1 million of the government as a grant. We spent around $6 million on the factory. And then everybody that we put the original product, they said, oh, well, that's very nice, but now you got a new factory, you got to do it all again. So we spent a couple of $1 million on research.
Gordon, the irony with all of this is that, yeah, you talk about Okinawa, and the first blue zone in the world was found to be Okinawa in Japan, which is where more over 100-year-olds per capita in a place live. And you've gone to Okinawa and you've come up with this product and then turned it into something that's going to keep people living longer.
Well, it's funny you should say that, because Okinawa is one of the first people in Asia to create what they call brown sugar. It's where they actually just boil sugarcane juice and take the water out of it, and it creates this it's not like no sugar we've ever come across. It's sticky and they stack it into cubes, but it's kept all of the molasses, it's kept all the antioxidants, and that sugar is actually good for you. It's actually low GI sugar. Go figure that. So they'd already developed that going forward as a health product out of sugarcane, and all we did was we took the white part of the sugar out, because we keep the molasses in our fibre, and we're not a fibre. I've got to tell you that we're a plant. We're 85% fibre, with 2% water, and the rest is antioxidants, polycosanols, molasses, all the good things that are in there. And we still don't know why it works so well together, but we just know that it does based on our research. And the Okinawans have done it a different way.
So, Gordon, you've said a couple of times now that you know it works. How do you know?
When my wife and I were in Mossman, we had a choice to make. We had a basic understanding of what was in sugarcane based on the analytical we had done on it. We didn't know how to lock it in the way we have now. We cashed in all our reserves. We sold a couple of units we had as assets. We sold our house, and we just dived down the rabbit hole. And I mean dived down the rabbit hole. We believed so strongly in what it could do. Yet we still needed to convince other people. So we spent around $2 million on research with RMIT, University of Queensland, University of Tasmania, Monash University. So we know it works because we've got third-party research that has proven that it works. And then on top of that, we've got tens of thousands of people that try it. I just like to point out one very small reason that gets me up in the morning. When you're my age, and I'm 65 now, when you're my age and you make that decision to get rid of all your assets, and I even backdoored my super. So at the end of the day, when you do that, you've got to believe that it works. When my wife and I made that decision, we as I said, we dived down the rabbit hole, and I have used a lot of years with my wife. We've persevered on this. But there was a woman that got hold of Janine, who was at the back end of our website, and she had IBS diarrhea. And when you've got diarrhea, you don't take a lot of fibre. And Janine talked us through the tiniest tip of K-fibre on the end of a teaspoon. And this woman had never left home, even with a nappy on, for 4 years. She had never visited her children's school and never gone to a restaurant. And after 6 weeks, Janine had her up to a full teaspoon. And this woman was out at restaurants having meals without a nappy. Those kind of things are the reasons that keep you going. And eventually we'll make some money out of it as well.
My golf coach had a heart attack a year ago. Since then, he's had no energy, can't get out of bed in the mornings, just struggling. And about 6 weeks ago, I contacted Gordon and said, mate, can you send some product to my mate? And we got some more product in, and I shot it over to my mate. Within 10 days to 14, this guy's energy levels were back to normal, and he was functioning like he used to before the heart attack. Now, I don't know how, I don't know how that happens, but literally now with my friends, if anyone's got health issues, I get them straight onto the product because I believe that strongly in it.
Do you think that there's a correlation between his feeling, ordinary in the world and talking to you? I feel like there's something there that we need to unpack maybe in another podcast.
Yeah, no, we could do some research into that. Probably won't cost $2 million to do that.
No, I think it's relatively straightforward. I think it's pretty easy to see that your mate's struggling because you're his friend. So, Gordon,
At least I've got friends.
That's also true. So, Gordon, the trajectory for this moving forward, and some of the things you've talked about there in terms of metabolic disease, the fact that, sugar's abused and we're all sort of get hooked and our kids get hooked. And then before they know it, I think it's the average recommended daily allowance is 25 grams for a person. They're having 300 grams by the time they're 15. There's no surprise that we're in type 2 diabetes epidemic. Where do you go to from here? How do you help people understand the value of this, and what does the learning curve look like for them?
I think you have to join up with the right people. We've currently joined up with Tessie that owns Kui Cookies, a First Nations woman that puts nutritional cookies out west to some of the stations out there, some of the players out there. And we're joining up with her to add our product to her cookies there to help First Nations nutrition. And part of their issue, of course, is diabetes because of their diet, which is a Western diet now compared to what it was. So it's joining up with the right people and being able to supply our product, to prove our product, to do case studies to show that our product works. And like any of these things, it takes time, it takes money, and also to get past the BS that's around some of the big players. I think one of the things that stuck out for me, I was looking at Meta, which is Metamucil, and they had there that this product helps with heart disease. And that was in 56 font. And down the bottom, there's an asterisk to it. Down the bottom is a little 6 font was diets high in fibre may assist with heart disease. That kind of BS is just, if you've got the big bucks. So we're trying very hard to join up, especially with people like guys that have got a network, that have got reach, that are well respected, that are able to get it out there and are believed, because belief is everything. To be able to take our research, to be able to prove that it works, and then put it with people that can put it in front of people and they take what he says as face value because he's always been right. That to us, and it's only in the last couple of years where we've really accelerated our research and started doing our marketing that we've started getting there. We're kind of on the and this is for God, we're on the crest of that wave, looking at the beach, looking over its shoulder. We know we can make it, just got to get past the sandbars. So that's where we are at the moment.
Talk to us about the current situation financially. You're looking at raising money at the moment. You're your classic founder that's just gone in head first. You've risked the farm for this, which is super impressive. Where are you at right now?
So we're on our last fundraise. Like all startup companies, you raise funds along the way. You go through your friends, family, and fools, and then you get your research. You then prove it to people. So it becomes a process. So we're currently raising $2 million with Swarmer and in a crowdfunding. In fact, we launched the expressions of interest today with Swarmer. We'll do 2 weeks of that, then we'll do 2 weeks of the actual fundraise. And yeah, so that'll be our last fundraise because we now have quite a bit of uptake there with some of the companies that we're dealing with. We have a lot of interest, but I can tell you, I can see why people start things and fail, lad, because you run out of puff. You just do. We've just been lucky that every time we have never done a trial where the product hasn't worked, and that is just so impressive. We've got patents for acid reflux and GORD. We've got patents for IBD. We've got patents for non-alcoholic fatty liver. So all of these things come back to the fact that it works. We've proven it works, and we've also gone out and we've made sure we've protected our research. One of the things that we haven't protected and I will never protect is we currently have research out for chemotherapy. I will never, ever lock that research up. We know that it works, and there are people that it's not so much the cancer that will kill people, it's the actual chemotherapy. They can't keep their food down, they will die. The malnutrition will hurt them so much. And out of the 8 original anecdotal evidence that we had from friends and that, it worked on all of them. And we had one little lady here, and I'm getting too old to call anyone little and old, but at the end of the day, she was on 4 tablets to control her nausea. The guy that does the harvest our cane gave her our product, and within a week she'd thrown all the tablets away, and she picked up product on the way through to go up to a doctor. Those kind of things, you can't duplicate that. You can't, the feeling inside that we did that. We made her life better. And she's now not on drugs for it, and she's not got any blisters in the mouth. She can hold food down. She's not nauseous. That's impressive. And look, we didn't do that. Mother Nature done that. All we done was we took the sugar out.
You mentioned, we talked about diabetes previously, talked about irritable bowel, big healthcare categories. You talked about non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, which is essentially an enormous category that we're seeing things like Ozempic potentially treating. Can you talk me through how your product would address non-alcoholic fatty liver disease?
Yeah, so we have a woman here who's a pharmacist, sports nutrition, and a researcher, and she done the original metabolic or weight loss trials on 90 patients, and those over 8 weeks, those that were, and it was a restricted diet and 3 hours of exercise. Any exercise, it didn't matter. Men and women, and out of the 50 that were off our product, they lost an average of 5 kilos over 8 weeks, and of the 40 that were on our product, they lost 10 kilos. That was the only difference. And she's heavy into research. She then went into non-alcoholic fatty liver, and for that, the level there, GDT scores, is 50 for men and 35 for women. She had 115 cases that were all above that, and she used our product, and she used a probiotic that went with it. She tried different probiotics with it, and out of that 115 cases, every single one of them came down below the level. Every single one. So, and that was in 6 weeks. So I never, ever use the word treatment with our product. We just help the body do what it's supposed to do. But jingo, 6 weeks and all of them come down. Some of those men were at 90. They all come down to 50. I mean, jingos. So we blanked out a few names there, took the right amount of case studies, and we patented. We could have. I'm not going to do chemo. I just couldn't do chemo. That would be just too much. I mean, I could not do that to someone with cancer.
Gordon, I want to go back to just the importance of gut health, and just for people listening, for me growing up when I was younger, I ate whatever I wanted to eat, trained hard when I was a kid, and changed my tune as I got older. But can you just explain the importance for the whole body of what the gut does?
So the gut, by definition, is literally from your lips to your anus. The gut obviously breaks down with acids the food into smaller particles. The small intestine then extracts the nutrition out of it, and then the colon extracts the majority of water and also creates the bacteria that ferment the fibers that are non-fermentable in the small intestine. So our product has a fibre in it, which is a mixture of, and I'll try not to get too technical here, a mixture of cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin. Once it gets to the colon there, it essentially mimics or acts just like a fruit or vegetables. It goes all the way through the colon. While it's doing that, it's a slow fermentation process in the same way that if you're eating cabbage or a carrot, any of that. And it creates short-chain fatty acids, but in particular, it creates butyrate. And butyrate is one of the major causes of anti-inflammatory properties in your body. Butyrate reduces inflammation, and inflammation through your body is what gives you this massive amount of diseases, up to and including non-alcoholic fatty liver. Right. Where it's important for us, unlike guar gum, acacia gum, and all these isolated soluble fibers, is because our product goes all the way through the colon. It creates short-chain fatty lipids and anti-inflammation properties all the way through. And this is massively important because most of your cancers and nearly all your inflammation are in the bottom end of your colon. And that's what's happening with these days with the massive increase in cancer, the massive increase in just the things that we shouldn't be having. If we had a normal diet, go back 50 years, we'd be fine. But we don't. We're eating over-processed foods. We're eating too much sugar. And this is creating an imbalance in your colon with the good bacteria and the bad bacteria. And there's a bunch of bacteria that don't do much at all. They're a bit like Switzerland. But our product actually improves the short-chain fatty acids, which feed the good bacteria. The good bacteria then start outnumbering the bad bacteria, and this creates a happy, healthy gut. The happy, healthy gut then creates hormones, enzymes, and sends chemical messaging up to your brain, into your immune system, to your lungs, to your whole damn body. So consequently, what our product does is it just feeds your body in the same way that if you were having a very good diet.
Is it fair to say that for me, I'll take a heaped dessert spoon in the morning in water with a few other things in there? Is there some sort of maximum amount of the powdered K fibre product that you take that sort of is that limit of
No, not really, but it's not something that you would rush into. We have a serving size on our retail products, and we recommend that in some cases you should start with about half a serving size because your body has to get used to what it's doing, which is all of a sudden it's supercharging your body's ability to create short chain fatty acids and to start looking after itself. I take a tablespoon in the morning, and that's literally all I take. I don't take anything until 12 o'clock, and so I'm on intermittent fasting. And I can then eat anything I like as long as it's not simple sugars from 12 o'clock to 8 o'clock. I'm 80 kilos now. I was 80 kilos when I was 18. So consequently, that's part of our metabolic enhancement that we do. And here's where it gets funny. It's not a case of you're filling your guts up with fibre. There are 5 or 6 pillars on why our product helps so well with metabolic enhancement or weight loss or weight maintenance. One is it affects the ghrelin hormone, which is your hunger hormone. And so if you eat it, it slows you down being hunger. The time you put it in your stomach, you feel your stomach. The third one is gastric emptying. So it slows gastric emptying. And one of the ones I've just found out is that because it's a fine powder, just imagine that this your food is going through your small intestine, but all of these little specks of fine powder are through the matrix of the food, but also on the outside. And this actually slows your glucose absorption from your small intestine, which then helps affect your insulin response. And then the third one, up to about 6 by now, is when it gets to your colon, and then you have short-chain fatty acids. So look, I told you when we started this that I would get excited and I would get, because I'm passionate about this, but I'm passionate about it because I don't have to prove it. There's a whole bunch of people a lot smarter than me that have proven it for us.
Gordon, in the medical world, the last sort of 15 years, things like fecal transplants, as Professor Barodi in 5Doc, it might be, that has been very sort of the pioneer in some of the experimental work for people that have had parasites. And I know we've had sort of an increase in particular parasites in Australia. Does this treat parasites or parasitic infection?
It doesn't treat parasites per se. What it does is enhances the body's ability to be able to handle them.
Okay.
Because with parasites, you get irritation. With irritation, you get inflammation. With inflammation, you then have a whole range of things that come outside of that. So not so much even that the parasite does the damage, it's what the parasite's irritation and inflammation does that does the damage. And our product creates short-chain fatty acids that assist with the inflammation.
There's no truth in the fact that that your full head of hair there is any relation to K-fibre, because Carl...
Absolutely, mate. It's going to sound like bullshit, but at the end of the day, we have around 2% of our product is bioavailable plant silica, and plant silica is the same as calcium. It looks after your nails, your skin, your hair, and your teeth. And we've had little old ladies that can't handle milk, and all of a sudden they go, my hair's growing back.
Carl's very interested in that.
I am. I'm quite an empathetic character, and I'm tired of watching you glue that rug to your scalp, Leachy. So if there's anything that we can do to help you, I want to help you. I'm here. Mate, you help.
Seriously, give it another 3 or 4 more months. It's all done.
Well, we'll have the product out to you pretty soon, Carl. Just have a runway on your forehead like you've got.
Such a broad application here that you've got. You've mentioned things that guys struggle with, the mold situation, helping him. You've mentioned things that, I've been involved. I've had parasites as a result of training and racing in places overseas. I've got a non-alcoholic fatty liver disease myself. So it's sort of like it's not just us, 2 people on this podcast. I imagine all of our listeners would probably be able to relate to this being beneficial in some way.
I think from a being purely commercial point of view, that anyone that looks at the opportunity on Swarmer, 50% of them will have an issue that we will be able to help with. And the other 50% will either have somebody in the family or know somebody that does. You cannot get away from gut health these days. It's impossible. And the old days when I was growing up, when you are what you eat, that really rings home now. Really does.
I've got so many other questions to ask you with regard to your opinion. One of the things that I find fascinating is, we talk about gut health, and the evidence and the research is right in front of all of us. World Health Organization, World Cancer Research Foundation indicate that processed meat, bacon in particular, is a group 1 carcinogen, as is cigarettes. And yet we still want to fight that because of our familial conditioning, or we've grown up in a society where it's nice to have a bacon and egg roll. So my dad did it, so it must be okay. Do you think we're fighting against the some of this sort of mental models that were shaped through our foundational years, that we're going to win that fight?
I think a bacon and egg roll is fine. You've got starch and that out of bread. You've got wheat. You've got you've got meat, and you've got an egg. And a little bit of sauce doesn't matter. I think where it comes down to, you walk into any supermarket, on the right-hand side, there's the fruit and vegetables. Across the back, there's the deli. Down the other side, you've got the bread, and then the cereals are usually past that. But the whole 5 or 6 rows, both sides in the middle, are over-processed to the max. And it's just starting to be realised that the 5-star rating we have in Australia doesn't honestly reflect the real nutritional value. You cannot break food down into microscopic pieces and then expect the body to recognize it and to deal with it, and especially not when they've added inulin and guar gum as sort of sugar replacers and fat replacers. The body doesn't recognize any of this. What we do, our product is essentially what it would be like if you ate a carrot or if you ate a cabbage and your teeth chewed it up and your stomach digested it. That's what our body recognizes it as. That's how it understands it. That's how it uses it. So I think convenience is one of the major issues. I think that only now people are starting to realize that giving your children you can have a little bit of everything. Pies, doesn't matter. But you just can't keep having too much of the stuff that's just not good for you. And where we think that we have a bit of an in is that you can add our product into fast foods and it will massively improve it. So, and part of that research in RMIT right now is how fibres relate to fast foods and what they can do to fix it.
What's the future look like, Gordon? So fast forward 2, 3, 4 years from now, successful raise, more eyeballs on the product. Where do you see the future being?
Oh, mate, we're global. We're going global. We've already got some overseas interest. We've already got some overseas sales. The market is too big for us to be worried about competition. We had no competition at the moment that creates our product or uses sugarcane, because we go in, we get green cane. We check that there's no agricultural residues in there. We come in, we remove the sugar, and we turn it into our product. For us, it's to push it as hard and as fast as possible into the right markets, and to and this is going to sound so crass, but it will just help so many people, and that's what we want to do. I have a situation where if people ask for samples to trial it, we don't charge people for samples. They want 1 kilo, 10 kilos. We don't. Get it out there, try it, make sure it works. And that rings true of what we're doing with Kui cookies there for First Nation nutrition. It rings true with what we're doing for gluten-free breads, etc., etc. So consequently, for me, I want to be well off, but well off enough to do what I want to do and continue doing what I'm doing. I'm 65. I've got 10 or 15 more years to go before I start worrying about what I want to do. And I'm acquiring knowledge and getting better at what I do. But there are so many much smarter people than me out there, and I want to bring them into the fold. And you're a perfect example of it. You're passionate. You understand what you're doing. You now understand our product. That's the kind of forward modelling that we want to do, so that I don't have to go out there and talk to people, because everyone just thinks that founders are always spoken about their product, and half of the time they're lying. We're not lying, but we now are attracting the right amount of people so that people do understand that it's a good product and it works, and that is so important to me.
Gordon, I might just finish the chat on a lighter note. I'm just a bit interested to know if this is possible. But look, if you just say you're a retired Ironman, you might have won Coolangatta Gold a couple of times. You may have done 10 years of steroids and had plastic surgery here and there. Is this going to be any help to that bloke or not?
I think Guy with his above 50.
Yeah, that's me, Gordon.
I'm just saying that you're helping this person. Guy with his above 50s and his longevities, you can get away with blue murder with your body under 40s and up to 50s. Where we are finding is that cancers, inflammation, IBD, all of that is in the older generation, and anything above 50, we are very, very good to assist with. So anyone that didn't look after themselves and is now starting to realise it's not how long you live, it's how well you live, then that's where our product comes into it. And I think that's part of the reason that Guy and ourselves will be a great team together, because at the end of the day, what his outlook on life is and the way he's teaching people and what our product can do, they are just perfectly matched. They really are.
Yeah, brilliant.
I'm glad you didn't stoop to the level of Carl then, Gordon. That was good.
I have never gone that way. So
well done, brother.
Well, I live down there. What are you talking about? So I'm going to be a recipient of some samples, I understand too. I've got wonderful gut issues that I will monitor daily. And then, Guy, why don't we sort of circle back on this in a couple of weeks and talk about the experience?
Indeed. Mate, Gordon, thanks for your time today. Much appreciated, and look forward to chatting again.